Diana had another question about on to or onto. More confusion, but relax again. He drove on to the beach. He drove onto the beach. Okay? Go backwards. Noun, article, preposition, prepositional phrase. Noun, article, preposition, prepositional phrase. Subject, predicate, the subject, the verb. So now we have this on by itself. He drove on to the beach. In this case, on is an adverb. He drove on, past the forest, up the hill, to the beach. Okay? He drove on. So drove on go together. He continued to drive. He continued to drive until when? To the beach. Then he stopped. He drove onto the beach means so once again, for this one I'll make a picture. He drove. He's driving past the forest, up the hill, and then here's the beach. I'll make some waves. Here's the beach. So he drove on to the beach. And I'm guessing that he drove past the forest, up the hill, down the hill, and then he stopped here to the beach. He arrived at the beach and stopped. He drove onto the beach. That would mean he drove past the forest, up the hill, down the hill, and then onto the beach. So he's actually in the middle of the beach. He's actually on the beach. Okay? Does that make sense? A lot of people get confused here. Pass it on to the client. Pass it on to the client. So in this case, we can think of it. It meaning, let's say, the expense. Pass the expense on to the client, or pass the expense on to the client. There may be a lot of differing opinions. Personally, I don't like this sentence. It could be possible if you're thinking this implies burden, pass the burden onto the client. But in my opinion, this is more of a two-word verb. Pass it on to the client. We won't pay for the expense. We'll have the client pay for it. So generally, in this situation, think of your structure. Prepositional phrase, noun, verb. Is it on as in up until? Is there continuation, or is it specific location? So when we say it separately, on to, there's the idea of movement. When we say it together, there's the idea of specific location. Okay? So in this case, what do we do with the expense? We move it to the client. So I think this is better than location. In my opinion, this is not a good example, a proper usage. This is proper usage because it shows movement. Okay? And when we separate the two words, it implies movement. When we keep the two words together, it implies location. These get really confusing. When you're speaking, don't worry about it. And actually, when you're writing, people will understand. But on a test, you have to be careful. So I hope that helps, and good luck.